Good morning, everyone. Thank you very much for coming along to this event today. It's a great opportunity to sort of talk about how we align our Top of the South partnership with the rules and things for the level of fouling, and sort of give a brief overview about what sort of goes on. There's a lot of things that sort of go on in the background that aren't really talked about today. So yeah, feel free to ask them questions later on about sort of other things that we do. But yeah, my name's Hayden Nott. I'm a Senior Biosecurity Officer, Melbourne District Council, in charge of the operations there. So like I said before, running the marine programs as well as some of the other terrestrial programs as well. And then alongside me, we've got Mitch Seek from Tasman District Council. So we're just going to get a little talk today about our level of fouling alignments and basically how we assess level of fouling of vessels. So I'll start with Mitch.
Cheers. Good morning, all. Mitch Seek from Tasman. So I'll have a bit of a chat about our level of fouling rules and the new alignment across the Top of the South, as Richard mentioned. So Nelson, Tasman are quite unique, where we share a regional pest management plan, and the life of our plan is through to 2029. Last year we had the opportunity to look at a review, and one of the new rules we adopted is the level of fouling rule. So this rule now aligns across the Top of the South, aligning with Marlborough. And basically why we introduced this rule is it's more tools in the toolbox to combat Sabella. So Sabella is listed in both the Tasman, Nelson and Marlborough regional pest management plans as a controlled pest species. We're also involved in a working group to look at level of fouling alignment across the country. The outcome of this working group is to develop training material for biosecurity divers, both commercial and council, so we see more consistency with the level of fouling scoring. So now if we look at the new rule here, so what we're asking is any vessel entering the Nelson Tasman region needs to be at a level of fouling 2 or below. And what that means is we're expecting vessels to have maybe a slight algae layer with patches of barnacles and stuff of less than 5%. Owners may come into, there are some exceptions to the rule, so owners may come into the region for a haul out, and that work needs to be done within 24 hours. They also may be coming in for emergency purposes. Once again, we expect the vessel to leave within 24 hours. Vessels can come into the region in case of a declared emergency, and that any vessel that's usually moored in the Nelson Tasman region is able to leave the region for up to 72 hours before returning. Just a reminder that Marlborough does have the same rule, so I don't know really where you're going to go. And this is the final slide here for me. This is an example of a vessel that we inspected during our summer survey program. So this vessel came down from Auckland. This has been treated with a copper fouling, and it's coming to the end of its life. It actually looks dirtier than it was, but this was covered in a slight algae layer with a few barnacles, and this scored level of fouling 3. And under closer inspection, divers found quite a few juvenile Sabella in amongst the rudder systems and stuff. So this vessel was sent to Nelson for haul out, and then once hauled out, we found I think about 40 to 50 of these juvenile fanworms. So a really good example as to why we have adopted the rule. Thank you.
Right, so yeah, I'm basically just going to touch on the tools that we use to assess level of fouling vessels and coming into Marlborough and Top of the South. So one of them is the invention of the Marine Vessel Portal. So basically what it does is it captures level of fouling of vessels. So one of the tools that we use, especially for the summer program, is that vessels coming down from North Island will sit on the computer and look at the vessels coming through the AIS and marine vessel tracking, and we can from there identify the vessel's name and then put that in through the Marine Vessel Portal, and that'll spit out a bit of a record of inspections on that vessel. So as you can see, I've just used the Coast Guard for a bit of an example. There's a list there of the inspections that it had for the Coast Guard, and as you can see, the top one there is 2025 at the level of fouling 1. So we can confidently say that that vessel is safe to come into Marlborough. It doesn't need or shouldn't require another inspection. Some of those vessels come in, we can see that they've had a level of fouling 2, potentially level of fouling 3. So in that summer surveillance program, we can organise divers to go and have a look at that vessel just to ensure it doesn't have fanworm on it. And then basically using the records from there. If they're coming into the mariners, we can let mariners know that say, hey, you've got a vessel coming in that's potentially needs another look at, and vice versa. We also work with the mariners. So Louise and there has been absolute godsend in helping us track down fanworm. So they give us a record every month of vessels that are coming, and potentially ones that aren't meeting the level 2 requirements, and we can chuck that into the marine vessel portal, have a look at the inspections on there, and then from there we can highlight what vessels we need to have a look at. So some of the tools we use for that. So talked about just before, using the AIS, as well as diving contractors. So Nathan and his team have just been out doing the mob report. Thankfully, no fanworm found on that one. We've also had some divers go through Waikawa and Picton Marina, looking at vessels and pontoons with, again, nothing found this year, which is great news. Just out here, we had a marine incursion of Sabella. We call that the Waikawa incursion. So as you would have seen before in Frizz's slide there was a couple of, I think it was about sort of 9 fanworm found within that incursion zone. So yeah, thankfully again this year nothing found, so just hope to keep it that way. And the other one is biosecure officers. So Jack here sort of gives me a bit of a hand with some in-water dives that we need to do. So again, going off from Louise's list there, she's able to provide us with what we need to have a look at, and we can assess that and dive that in-house. Not very often, but every now and then. So I guess the why, as Irene talked about before, you got the things we want to protect. So this is how we do it, protection of aquaculture. So for Marlborough being a large mussel farm industry, protection of that is basically one of the main reasons why we're doing it, as well as reducing additional vessel maintenance costs. So of course, if you've got things like Sabella or sort of other marine pests attaching to your hulls, it requires more maintenance on your vessel. As well as, extra additional haul out costs, more anti-foul, it's sort of a bit of a flow-on effect. And that's sort of one of the messages that we sort of tell people is that, if we can keep this out of here, it's going to cost you less in the long run. So another one is, marine infrastructure. So again, if we have Sabella and things like that on marine infrastructure, it cost more to try and assess those, piles or pontoons or anything like that. So it costs more in the long run. And then for me personally, is protection of the of beaches and ecological areas. So as well as significant areas. So for me, being a diver and a fisher and loving the beaches and things like that, for me, protection of those is key. Especially having a little 2-year-old running around now. She loves the beach and loves getting in the water, and I don't really, feel like she should be swimming in fanworm meadows or anything like that. So, as probably most people know here, that fanworm can form dense colonies, about 1,000 per square metre. So if you think of that along your beaches and you're swimming around with little wiggly things touching you as you're swimming around, it's not the best. So, yeah. So for me, that's the why. That's why we're doing things here, and I guess aligning everything along the top of the south as well. So, yeah, that's basically it from us. I just want to give acknowledgement to Marlborough Mariners. So for our programs here in Marlborough, they give us a contribution every year to carry out surveillance, which is absolutely key to keep fanworm out of Marlborough. And as well as talking about those tools before that you guys provide is just absolutely key. I think a lot of the other councils, obviously top of the south do it, but a lot of the other sort of North Island councils can actually learn a thing or two from it. I know it's quite hard working in with the mariners, but yeah, absolutely it's key for Marlborough and how we're doing things here. So no, that's all. Thank you. Any questions? Yep. Yep. So we do 2 runs of Waikawa and Picton marinas. So one run has just been completed about a month ago, and then we'll do another run just after Christmas. And then we do runs with inspections in Shakespeare Bay, wider Queen Charlotte, Port Underwood. We're doing a run in Tennyson Inlet this year. So we do quite a few. And then possibly if there was other incursions, we'll chuck money into that as well and get divers to have a look at it. For our funding model, obviously we use Top of the South partnership to do the summer surveillance program, as well as council funds. We get a little bit from MPI as well, so thank you. And then yeah, marinas pitch in as well to help out with incursions and surveillance within the marina. So yeah, that's basically our funding model. We always try and push for more funding because, yeah, as we know, these things aren't going to get any cheaper to control or carry out surveillance. So we're very lucky to have new divers on board this year as well. So, it's other avenues that we can look in as well as trying to spread that. As I guess you guys would know as well, with one of the diving contractors is getting sort of pulled in every direction around New Zealand. Having more and more people that are able to do this work is key as well. So yeah, I'd like to thank Nathan and your team and Ben in the back there. Yeah, you guys have been bloody amazing so far. So look forward to working with you guys in the future as well. But yeah, that's basically how we run things here. Yep.
charts, the level of fouling is quite similar.
Yeah.
A lot of those places. Do you know if it's that's comparable in different regions around? Have you seen, you know, like with Hamish and those teams in the top of the north, they got similar kind of split?
The chart. Yeah, so I guess you might be talking that with the working group to align it.
Yeah, not too sure yet. I mean, the one thing that with the MVP that Hayden spoke about, the one thing it doesn't do, and we're working on, is you're not able to record where a vessel comes from. So that's gonna they're working on that at the moment. So hopefully next season we'll be able to use that tool. It just shows the general level of fouling finding on all vessels.
Yeah, it's just interesting with the, I think it was Wellington, Greater Wellington's split looked very similar.
Yeah.
The split down here, and I guess relatively close together. It'd be really interesting to see how it would be.
I can add
Yeah.
2 cents to that. Yeah, so it is very similar.
Yeah.
And the 4 northern regions as well. The majority of boats are meeting the level of foul too.
Cool. That's
Yeah.
yeah.
There's still a few in the 3, 4, 5, which is a bit scary, but the majority are too as well. So it's kind of and that's so I'm working on the national sort of clean vessel plan as well with little councils, and that's we're aiming to set a similar standard to that level of foul too as well, because I think that's achievable and to actually help reduce the spread of marine pests. Yeah.
I did sift through the data last year, and the 3, 4s, and 5s were majority local boats. I think there was 2 boats from out of town that met that 3, 4, or 5 mark.
It's going to cost a lot to move a boat that's got foul.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, with the summer surveillance, it's assessing not only vessels that are coming into the top of the south, but it's also assessing the ones that are here. So you will get a lot of 4s and 5s, but pretty much half of them just sit on the mooring, and that's, you know, someone's house, I guess, or a little bitch, and they want to go somewhere. So yeah, unfortunately, we can't do too much with that. But if they did decide to say leave Marlborough or leave the top of the south, and they decide to come back, then we can say no, you need to haul out. So yeah.
That's encouraging.
Cool. Yep.
Just ask, what's the general reaction when you have to tell someone to get a haul out? Because obviously it's quite, ruins their travel plans, it can be expensive.
I think we vary, like,
People know the rules.
Yeah.
Like, generally they know the rules, and generally it goes down pretty well. It depends what happens. If we're asking people to go into Nelson and get cleaned from Able Tasman, that's not really a big issue. Prison's very accommodating, and so is Alex. Thank you, Alex. When we have to wrap a boat, that's a different kettle of fish. So that costs a lot more money. And we did that once recently. Luckily with a very understanding boat owner. Education is the key though. Like when we're having these conversations, even through the summer surveillance stuff, we're always pushing the education with the boaties. Most of them know the rules. Yeah.
Most of them aren't aware that they have famine on, so they get a haul out up north, come down. I had a haul out 2 weeks before I come down, but it's those niche areas that we find the famine most of the time. And so when we say we've found it, most of the time we can work with marinas, especially for us, like reduced costs or something like that, just to get them hauled out and cleaned. And most people are pretty happy with that.
Yeah, the other key is people clean their own boats. So we get a couple of those where people aren't able to dive to the bottom, and we'd find real dirty holes at the bottom of the boat.
So rough time frame for getting on the haul outs up here if you do the program.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. No, again, this is where, working with marinas is excellent. Like we can pretty much have a vessel hauled out within 24, 48 hours of finding fan worms. So, they sort of just push everything aside for us and get it out. That's their main one. So again, working with marinas is perfect.
Cost, Alex, how much you charge for us for a haul out?
Boat on the side of the boat. What we are new deck, we are a new boat structure.
Yeah.
We'll probably take into account more of a breakdown at the moment, so sort of packaged up. And what we're looking at more adaptable, so that we can pack a bit of this kind of lift. Might be an additional cost if it's lift or something like that. We really have to do too much with that. By the time it gets to us, operational hours, that kind of stuff. But
I think in the past, the last couple of vessels I sent to you were under $1,000.
Yeah.
Yeah, for haul out and clean, which is really cheap compared to wrapping it at Terracotta, which was $4K.
yeah, it's good to always tell customers about that cost versus wrapping it there. like more beef when they get built.
We have a question over here.
What's roughly the breakdown between LOF surveys of resident vessels versus ones coming in?
So that's hard to pick up because we
Yeah.
can't record that data when we're in the field. So that is happening. We've spoken to Ethos who run that program in the background and they're adding that. So that's key for us to have that information there.
Yeah. We just had a paper come out as well that we might be able to pull that spring actually that has a figure in it with sort of 10 years of data from different regions about the LOFs and stuff. And I think there was a major shift in Bay of Plenty and everything else.
I was gonna ask you.
We're getting played off.
Let someone else.
Cool.
Right, thank you.
Sweet, thank you.
Thank you.